Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. So what are we talking about today? You've got a lot of stuff laid out that's not, a knife. So somebody asked me an interesting question the other day, and I don't know if this is going to answer it the way that they were hoping for, but I'm going to try because it's an interesting topic. Somebody said, have you ever thought about what it would be like if you had never, started a YouTube channel? And would you carry the same type of stuff that you enjoy? And I thought about that, and I was like, well, yes and no, because, the channel... Sorry, there was something stuck in my teeth. The channel has exposed me to so much, and I'm constantly carrying and trying out different things, right? And I have found that, there are items that I find super interesting, really interesting, but are not practical, right? But the channel definitely has exposed, to get back on track, the channel has definitely, exposed me to different things. There's a lot of different EDC style items out there. And I remember back when, and some people still do this on Instagram, I remember back when EDC pocket dump pictures were so, super popular. People would just dump out on, they'd find some decorative mat or something and they'd lay all this stuff out that they carry. And it made for a cool picture. And it did make for a cool picture. Most of the time I was thinking, hope you have a strong belt, because otherwise there's no way you're carrying all that stuff around. So when this person asked me this question, what would you carry if you, had never had the channel? I don't have everything out here that I want. These are some good examples, but I wanted to kind of talk about the stuff that I would generally consider carrying, what I generally do carry, right? And then assuming I'm going to answer this question in a reality that I'm going to make up, right? So right now, just, somebody finds a magic lamp, rubs it, and for whatever reason says, I wish that Metal Complex didn't have a YouTube channel at all, but he still gets to keep all the stuff that he acquired throughout his journey through YouTube. Okay, so I've got everything that I currently own, my whole knife collection, all this stuff, right? Stuff that I think is cool that I don't carry, and stuff that I think is cool and utilitarian that I do carry, regardless of price. So here we are. The stuff laid out on the table is, generally speaking, stuff that I will carry, not always all together. Well, obviously, I'm not going to carry all this together, but it's general items that I will carry that have a purpose, right? But it's circumstantial. And I want to kind of go over that. Number one, I have found that I very much like watches. And I have found that the types of watches that I really enjoy are pretty I don't like bands that are not metal. I don't like them. I want to wear a metal band. I very much like automatic watches, self-winding automatic watches. Now, I'm not a watch guy, right? You guys know I don't know a lot, so there's probably a lot more for me to experience, but as of right now, I like automatic diving watches. I like watches that I know are going to be, if I jump into a lake or a pool or something, I'm like, no big deal, right? I found out how much I loved. Number one, I just am very attracted to the Seiko Samurai aesthetic. This was Nick Shabazz's old watch, and it was my first, nicer watch. I say that not because I don't think it's nice. I do think it's really nice. I just know that there are people watching who buy $5,000 to $10,000 watches regularly, right? Anyways, but yeah, that's the thing. I like these diver's extension clasps because I can't stand it when my wrist, which absolutely does swell, when it's hot or cold. I like being able to ratchet these things and get the perfect fit whenever I want, right? The Seiko Samurai has an aesthetic that I really, really like, and kind of when I look for a new watch, which recently I did purchase one, when I look for a new watch, it's based on the aesthetic of these two. This is just what I like. I like a large 43 to 45 millimeter face, or whatever. I've found that going with a ceramic bezel and a sapphire crystal is a good idea because it really does keep it from scratching. Like I said, I like the waterproof thing. I like kind of a chunky band. This is a premium band from Strapcode that's made for the King Samurai here. It's not the stock band. So I like this. This is kind of what I like, right? I'm a big fan of this, and I found that generally speaking, I'm looking at the $500 to $1,000 territory in watches to get exactly what I want there, and I'm okay with that, right? That's definitely something that I would continue on with, right? That I think something that I would enjoy with or without the channel having ever existed. Obviously, single-bladed knives, right? Certain ones. There are certain things like, you know, for example, the XM24. I love the XM24. I love it. But as I've said in the review, I love the knife. I think it's super cool from an enthusiast perspective, but I think it's horribly impractical and huge and ridiculous, right? Now, I still would carry a Hinder, and I have long before, you know, the channel even started. Before I'd even considered, you know, making a channel. Full titanium Harpoon Spanto was actually, let me think about this. Was that my first upload? I think it was. Very similar to this was my very first upload over 4 years ago. I would continue to carry knives like that. I would continue to carry knives like the Para 3, definitely. We didn't talk about this, but the Les George VECP V3 was one of my favorite knives before I started the channel. Definitely something like this, the Demco 80 20.5. Or when I'm feeling like I want to carry a bigger knife, because I definitely would. I still like to carry bigger knives. The real deal, the American made MG 8020. But anyways, yeah, I would carry stuff like this. Definitely, it's a factor, right? We're talking about a range in, you know, the type of stuff that I would carry on, you know, different days, depending on what I was doing, working outside or just working in an office or whatever. That's the production factor prototype, not available yet. The Tactile Knife Co. Why am I blanking on this? Rockwall, definitely. And there would be days where I would prefer a multi-tool, especially when I go and do things outside. Generally, every weekend, the Victorinox Swiss Tool Spirit is new. But when I go outside and do home projects, which I'm always doing at least every other weekend, unless it's winter, then I'm, well, whatever. Then, yeah, the thing that's in my pocket, usually, I'll still carry a blade. I'll still carry a knife, right? It's usually like, you know, these two things. Because I use the, while this thing is big and bulky and heavy, it's just got so many tools on it. And what's specifically handy about the Leatherman Wave is that it has the, you know, the little slot for the bits, which you can take out. And I've got the ratchet extension and then all the 1/4-inch bits that fit in there, which is just fantastic. And it's so handy. This is definitely something I would carry. Now, oh, well, let me get through the rest of this. A little flashlight, right? A little one. This right here, this is a, you know, would I carry a custom flashlight? Sure, because that's something I'd be into either way. It's not just because I do YouTube that I'd be into this stuff. Outside of that, right? Yeah, this is stuff that I'd be interested in. This is stuff that I thought was cool far before. The channel allowed me to get my hands on stuff like this, but would I still think it was cool if I did get my hands on it? Let's say I got lucky with a drop, right? Would I carry it? Well, yeah, definitely. And then on days, maybe if I was doing something like, you know, let's say I'm doing something where I feel like it's more likely to lose the light than something like this. Because truthfully, I found that I don't need more than maybe 300 lumens in a flashlight with what I do with it, right? I mean, okay, if I find myself in a situation where I'm like, I need something to flag down a helicopter. I sure wish I had something with 10 to 20,000 lumens. Okay, well then maybe, right? But most of the time, you know, like this Olight, this is a AAA, $35 titanium flashlight, i3TOS. Wonderful. It's what I use on the channel. Yeah, and then like a nice pen, right? Now, stuff that I would carry all together, does that mean that I'd do, you know, like this, and I'm trying to make a cool, we forgot about this guy. Would you still carry the $1,500 rock set? I mean, yeah, I already do, definitely. And then would I do like this? Here's an excellent like pocket dump style picture. Right, there you go. Would I carry all of it together? No, this is way too much stuff for me to carry, right? If I'm going to carry, the most I can honestly see myself carrying at the same time, number one, if I'm carrying this, it's likely I won't be carrying much else. Now, day to day, the most that I'd be carrying, right? This and there you go. That right there is probably the most that I would carry around. And oftentimes, I don't even need to carry a single flashlight. Why? Because I found one of these, I like these little Rovivon. This one's in titanium. This is an Aurora A4 in Thai with, I think it's got maybe 700 lumens max, something like that. And it's got a moonlight mode and all that. It's easy, great, right? The aluminum ones weigh even less. A lot of times, and this, what's always attached to my keys, a lot of people will look at this and say, you know, that you got too much stuff on your keys. I've gotten used to it. There's a little, you know, the little, what do you call these? The little teeny tiny, you know, widgy pry bars. I think this is the medium. Maybe it's the tiny one. That's been great for just scraping or just little stupid little things here or there. The little ladybug from Spyderco, which has seen an enormous amount of use. That's always there, right? So in the event that I forget, if I need a flashlight, I don't have one, or I for whatever reason don't have my pocket knife, that's always there. And then outside of that, a pen, right? Because I use a pen every single day, no matter what, right? I'm always writing something. I'll use my knife every single day, and I check the time. Yeah, you can check the time on your phone, but that's lame. I want to watch because it's cool. You know, the joy of this type of stuff is not bound to its utilitarian function. I'm glad that it has that function, but, you know, there's more than just that reason for it. So generally speaking, it's stuff like this that I would continue. I already carry stuff like this. Like I was thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, I have my, you know, if you watch my top 5 most carried or, you know, top 10 best EDC, whatever. It's stuff that I feel like I can generally openly recommend that other people might enjoy the same or more than me, right? But when it comes down to the stuff that I am always carrying, it's this type of stuff. And then there's other things that are always coming in and out. I mean, how many times have you seen this make the top list, right? Or the Rockstead, or, you know, periodically it's been this guy, definitely this guy lately. This guy's made the list multiple times. Like this is the type of foundational stuff that I can see myself carrying all the time. But I'm not going to carry something if I find that it's not getting used more than once in a day, right? A pocket knife, definitely. I'm always going to carry a pocket knife because it just makes everything simpler. But, you know, I use a pen and a flashlight a lot less, but enough to justify it. But if I'm going to do it, you know, it's like, again, like stuff like this is super cool. I'm glad that it exists because it'd be a boring world without things like the Cylon, right? Or on you know, if you want to go like on the, you know, scale of like cost to power ratio, those flashlights that are, you know, not huge for what the output is, right? And then they have like 20,000 lumens. Like, okay, that's cool. It'd be boring without that stuff, but it's also not like I'm not going to EDC that, right? I'm just not going to. I think you know, there's a lot of joy that comes from just stuff like this, right? Just like a daily, like this is stuff. This is you know, quite a bit of weight. This is, I guess, right here, the full tie XM18, the Citadel from Reaver Arms, the Seiko King Samurai, which is upside down. Sorry, I'm sure that's really bothering some people. And then the Tactile Turn bolt action pen is probably the most weight of stuff combined with my keys that I would carry on my person day to day. And that's quite a bit. But, you know, I'm balancing the idea of that, you know, what I'm getting out of it from a utilitarian standpoint. The knife cuts, the flashlight has light, watch tells time, and the pen writes. And this drives my truck and unlocks my house and everything. So am I getting enough out of that combined with the joy, just the simple, stupid joy of carrying it to justify it? Well, yeah. But beyond that, like I'm not going to carry a challenge coin and a worry stone and a freaking big bottle opener and a knuck and, you know, a freaking, I don't know what else, what other weird stuff like people, and you know, people who get joy out of that, then that's fine. But I'm like, I don't do that. You know, I don't need a fidget spinner in my pocket. I don't need to do that, right? I already fidget enough with this kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think anything that I've displayed here today is completely and totally necessary. I think if you want to, you know, bring it down to the bare minimum, right? People watching, they're like, I just want this reduced to like maximum utility, minimum carry. Carry a multi-tool. It's pretty simple. Carry something like this, right? You don't even have to spend. You don't have to spend 145 on the Swiss tool Spirit, or even, you know, I'd recommend actually, right? The Wave is probably the best because it has the replaceable wire cutters and it's got that driver extension, right? Fit and finish isn't as good as the Spirit, but anyways, like, yeah, if you want to reduce it, like, the answer's been there forever. Just carry a multi-tool, right? But if you're watching this, it's likely that you care more about just maximizing the amount of utility for the money that you spent and the amount of object weight and mass on your person, right? So, yeah, I mean, I guess to the person who asked me that question, I hope that this kind of answers it. My guess is you got a piece of what you wanted, and then you got a whole bunch of information that you didn't ask for at all. So, I don't know, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. We're at 20 minutes, and I think I'm done repeating myself. This was fun. I like questions like that. Sometimes, you know, questions make me think, and it helps, especially if I haven't come up with something to talk about for Knife Guy. But anyways, thanks again for watching. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.